to your mind, were the biggest takeaways from Operation Sindur?
The true capability of what very quietly has been going on in India, getting battle proven.
It was literally the proof of the pudding.
This is the success behind what BrahMos did.
You know, we have a problem with our acquisitions.
Put in half a dozen 3-star, 2-star combination
Right.
and a wise man,
Yes.
you can make a difference.
A country that's built a strategic submarine is still struggling with tactical submarine, the SSK.
India always excelled in anything that you were denied.
The Zorava tank, which you created in a matter of months.
The readiness was to deliver a tank in 15th month.
Indigenous SSKs. Where are we with that?
The most competitively built submarine in the world.
Spiral development is the way forward.
We can be proud that we have winners all over.
Hello and welcome to the Sandeep Unnithan Show, your weekly dose of defense, geopolitics, and much more. It's my absolute privilege today to welcome on my show Mr. JD Patil. Mr. JD Patil set up Larsen and Toubro's defense business. He's been with L&T for over 4 decades and he's overseen L&T's transformation into a private sector defense behemoth, manufacturing everything from submarines to armored vehicles. Mr. Patil, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Sandeep, and always nice to see friends, especially after a gap of some time. Thank you.
Welcome back, sir. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. As I say, there are 2 things that are very important in India. The GDP is really important for India's economy. And the JDP, as JD Patil, is really important defense because of the sheer number of years that you've been there. You've set up literally the entire L&T defense business. But here we are in 2025, just 3 months after Operation Sindur, where it was literally the proof of the pudding lying in the eating, so to speak. What, to your mind, were the biggest takeaways for you from Operation Sindur?
I think this was one time that the true capability of what very quietly has been going on in India, getting battle proven.
Right.
And in 99, when Kargil happened, I remember only first ever Indian weapon system
Right.
that the armed forces took was tried out to hit those pimples.
Right.
But after that, since 99 to today, if I look at the dozens and dozens of those Indian weapon systems which have gone in.
Right. You're talking of the Pinaka that was...
99 was
in
Pinaka. 99 was Pinaka, which
Right.
was tried out because that truly a top attack, if you wanted to create, then you could create it with those kind of rocketry.
And that was your system. The L&T was one of the initial...
The rocket DRDO
DPP.
and of course the system we had built. And this was the kind of time, and actually that performance created sort of a push for opening up of the markets, because varieties of other things out of the Kargil Committee report and 2001 when the markets opened. But the fact remained that this, had it not been such a nice kind of performance, probably the defense indigenization that started happening or opening of the sector for private sector. So that in a way is a separate kind of a clear milestone.
Kargil in 99.
Kargil 99, besides of course the Kargil Committee report and saying that we can't be dependent only on PSUs and we now need to harness the private sector. So from that to today, if we look at this 26 years of a journey, enormous amount of work has gone on.
Right.
And from that day when the sector was opened, I remember till 2004, the first RFP, which again was Pinaka.
Right.
Because after a decision to induct, the formal RFP was 2004.
Right.
And that is essentially when exactly 20 years back, the private sector defense journey truly began.
So it began in 2004.
It began with the first RFP on private sector on Pinaka. Along with that, 2 air defense guns, upgrades.
Right.
And this is where the earliest of the programs, where the defense story began. Now, fast forward to what you talked about, Sindur. In case of Sindur, we have seen that the depth that any country can possess in
Right.
terms of multiple layers to be able to take on. I mean, we known across the length of that border, not less than 600 to 800 drones came in,
Right.
but not single damage happened.
Right. This is on the
Now,
night of
7th, 8th, 9th.
7th, 8th, 9th, when the
Now,
Pakistanis were firing.
Yeah, every day they were firing more than 200.
Right.
And this 200 plus drones plus missile combinations, if it was completely annihilated, it talks of enormous amount of volume of not just the front weapon which was hitting or able to do a
The
hard kill,
Yeah.
but behind the hard kill, the enormous amount of network
Right.
and the network operation systems which obviously have been created.
Right.
And again, if I look back, dates back to artillery's first 2008-2009 period, when they were talking of the artillery command and control, the ACCCS.
Right.
Now then it gradually moved into air defense.
Right.
And that's exactly where the Air Force has its own net, which Army called it Akash Tir, and they
Right.
call it the IACCS.
Right.
So the three complete networks systems simultaneous to what Navy was doing.
Yes.
And the Navy's portion of that net centricity truly came in along with the growth of BrahMos.
Right.
So BrahMos truly was one solution that if, let's say, a captain or the admiral of the fleet
Yes.
decided that now I'm going to be launching an attack from one vessel
Right.
and simultaneous launching from multiple, the entire scenario planning, waypoints, the navigation, everything could be done, and the fire control solution straight away passed on to all vessels
Right.
to do a simultaneous attack. Now, these kind of capabilities have not ever come. This time also we have
Right.
not seen Navy having actually done that.
Yes.
But these capabilities actually came into existence, and nothing like proving. The proof of the pudding is eating.
Absolutely.
So today you have a war which one is on the attack side, second is on the defense side.
Right.
On both ends, we can be proud that we have winners all over.
Right.
So you can do a pinpoint accuracy, this room or the adjoining room.
Right.
You can make that decision.
Right.
And you can hit it that precisely.
Right.
A single meter accuracy is something which is achievable. Now, this hasn't happened without efforts. So there's a lot of effort. DRDO, industry, a whole lot of us in industry.
L&T, how has L&T contributed to these?
The fire control system, again, in case of BrahMos, and since it was so nice to see you and Dr. Pillai talking, because Dr. Pillai and me again go back little more than 36, 37 years.
Oh, right.
And when the decision to develop BrahMos, having spotted an engine,
Right.
and to evolve that engine into a weapon system was made, 7 of us in the industry were called in and were offered a partnership.
Right.
The condition was very simple.
Right.
If you are my partner, behave like a partner. So we will spend money on overall weapon configuration. What you are doing, you do it at your cost.
Right.
So the entire effort in, call it technology, behind all the manufacturing that started happening subsequently in India, or the system, let's say creation of weapon systems, creation of integration technologies for this weapon system, all of it was done concurrent to the missile production or missile integration. Missile integration remained inside BrahMos,
Right.
but anything that fed into that assembly line was invested by each of these 7 partners.
The private industry.
Private industry. So there was private, public, both combination.
Right.
Now, the largest portion at that point in time was from Larsen Toubro, because the entire composite, because the missile is very sizably composite except the engine part. And this is something which there was a challenge by obviously the JV partner that it can never be done.
Right.
And it was accomplished. It took 40 engineers, literally 7-8 years. And imagine you are investing into a program, you don't know it will succeed.
Right.
And that's exactly the reason. One promise I must say, and hats off to Dr. Pillai, under, in that sense, Dr. Kalam's guidelines, if a partner succeeds,
Yeah.
then you will have him through the life of the program.
Right. That
Now-
is a very powerful incentive.
Now
Right.
look at it. This has nothing to do with your existing acquisition system.
Right.
Whether you did any development or not, it's a one-time buy.
Right.
But that generation of decision makers said,
Those-
if you create it,
Right.
and as a result, buying technology from Russia, if you took a TOT, we know the experience out of so many
Right. Right.
programs that happened between India and Russia, the cost would have been phenomenal.
Right.
Now there was no cost.
So here you've kind of, seamlessly integrated it into the Indian supply
You started
chain.
making each part by part.
Right.
At that point in time, we were doing roughly something like 30% of the
Right.
missile.
Right.
And the entire naval weapon system, which were the lead systems,
Yes.
where Navy has always been a forward-looking
Yeah,
customer.
Right.
And Navy is the one who decided we'll integrate.
Right.
So the whole of this journey happened there. Now, along with that, the decision making was, if you make a weapon system,
Right.
you can't make it without your own intelligence.
Right.
So the whole intelligence part happened here. The fire
The software,
controls,
the
the software, the algorithms,
FCS, yes.
the whole of all that you knew is a cyclogram of what command has to go at what time.
Right.
That's it, a table.
Right.
And from this table, the entire fire control, entire scenario planning, the whole of battlefield scenario in
Right.
front of you, and then you decide where your enemy is, how he is moving, where he is going.
Right.
All of it happened in India.
Right.
And when this architecture was evolved, and again, because this was a JV, all partners, including us, we used to sit in one room and debate it.
Right.
Now, you know that the partners actually were offering a system which was 3 generations behind.
Mhm.
So, the first attempt by Indian industry, I must say on behalf of not only what L&T did, many of our partners did, was at least 3 generations ahead.
Right.
And this is when it was realized that it was 3 generations ahead, 1/4 to 1/5 of the cost. And this is the success behind what BrahMos did.
Right. Very interesting, Mr. Patil. When you were saying this, I was just thinking that you have all these templates for very unusual programs like the supersonic cruise missile, universal supersonic cruise missile, which is now across services. It's in use. It's been used in combat. You have the strategic submarine program as well, which has also delivered. What are the lessons from that? And, could that be used, for instance, to bypass our, circuitous development cycles? And, we have a problem with our acquisitions. It's a worst kept secret.
I would say it's not only a problem with the acquisition. The freedom which Dr. Kalam asked for and was granted by the Prime Minister then
Yes.
for IGMDP enabled Dr. Kalam within a certain 3-layered decision-making
Right.
system that he created. This is where it was possible for him to say, we will work together and we'll commit to you the life cycle.
Right.
Now, this is something which today's acquisition system doesn't do, nor your development system can assure you that. Today, if you do it with DRDO, although much better models have come in with DCPP didn't exist till few years back.
Right. It was.
So, if you
born out of
developed
this
anything for DRDO, you never knew that DRDO will, or Ministry of Defense will ever give it to you after the work is done by, or development is complete by DRDO.
Right.
And this is essentially where, if you cannot, let's say, promise somebody, why would he want to invest?
Right.
And this is exactly where it was, because bulk of our acquisition, if you go back 20 years, 2005, when our first public DPP, 2003, got released, it had only, before that, it was only single category called Buy Global.
Buy Global.
So a journey from 2003 to 2016
Right.
was Buy Global being number 1
Yes.
to Buy Global being the last category.
Last category.
And that talks in volumes in terms of what Indian industry
Right.
has been able to do. And of course, each one of the early players
Yes.
were DRDO's partners.
All DRDO. I want to, talk about one of the other DRDO partners who was an MSME then, a friend of yours, but a little while later. But this conundrum that we have is that we have this massive backlog of modernization. We have programs, but the acquisition cycles are so cumbersome. Procedures are so lengthy, and there have been these very excellent islands of excellence, like the strategic submarine, the BrahMos missile. Why is it that these templates have not been able to be transferred onto other programs? Like, the classic case being the jet engine and the 5th generation fighter aircraft. We're in a crisis right now with these two.
See, in case of, let's say, the strategic submarine that you touched upon,
right,
the model and the methodology has been very, very different. It has not been the routine acquisition.
Right.
Because it's truly a strategic capability development for the country, and none of what we thereafter talked of as part of the acquisition ever looked at that.
Right.
As late as 5 years back, when we knew that having ordered this next 89 aircrafts,
the LCA Mark 1,
LCA Mark 1 and 1A in that sense, that the engine is an issue. The engine development could have been taken up, but I think sometimes in India we always have seen that failures are celebrated more in wrong way,
right,
rather than accepted that failure is fine. So the Kaveri,
right,
or what happened to Kaveri, was looming too large, and that's where possibly the aircraft engine development didn't happen. Now, discussion with the top officers right those days, one did talk of $1 billion to be a ticket size to develop the design of first engine, then convert it into protos, test it. Maybe $2 billion, you can have indigenous engine.
right.
And of course, if you do one, then multiple sizes is a matter of add-on investments. But it could have actually been initiated.
Right.
But the scenario is who makes that kind of a strategic call.
Right.
Now, the strategic call in case of whether BrahMos or IGMDP was one man.
Right.
In case of strategic submarine, again, we know it is few extremely forward-looking leadership who created it. Now, obviously, along with these kind of strategic program comes that partnership approach.
Right.
That ability to pick up the right partner and then stay with that partner. BrahMos actually did that. And same is the case as it evolved in case of the strategic submarine.
So it's like a sabka saath, sabka vikas kind of
Sabka saath, but at the same time, unless both are contributing to it won't happen.
Yes.
No relationship is one way.
Yes.
So every relationship in long run has to be two-way. And this is exactly why you see successes. Now, to talk of strategic submarine, if it had to go forward into other models, what is the takeaway from the program?
It's
indigenization.
Right.
Under the amount of indigenization is unmatched in any other platform contract.
Even more than the BrahMos.
Anything that I know. And I know the industry well for having spent 4 decades from the time as Larsen Toubro, a young executive. I started doing entry into the defense business. Right. Now, there is no Indian program I have ever seen which has the indigenization levels, which for a complex program. For a bridge system, yes, we also have done 98%.
Right.
Some hydraulic system related, especially the filters and some of the seals that you import, but that's a C or D category items.
Right.
But yes, it's not 100% anywhere. But on these class of programs, which typically would involve millions of parts and components to achieve ultra high, let me not say the number, but to achieve those kind of indigenous capability. And when the previous submarine seminar, on especially when the 60 years was celebrated, when that was being talked about, anybody in the world who was building submarines who was present in the room after seeing what India is doing had actually said, you guys are ahead of us.
Right.
And we know that whether it's ThyssenKrupp, whether it's other makers in the world, all of them, including the French, said you are digitally far more evolved.
Right.
Now, the strength of India is into using the digital technologies to be able to do things very, very differently and very efficiently. Now, this is what this program has done. Now, obviously, when you have extremely complex program, and if you look at next in terms of complexity, over, let's say, a strategic submarine is a conventional submarine. Come below that, you come to an aircraft.
Right.
And if you are talking about aircraft, if aircraft development has to happen in a time-bound manner and in a certain way, the right model ought to have been something similar to the strategic submarine model.
So
now,
we are not very
why is it success?
Right.
Who runs it? The user runs it.
Right.
Which systems he follows? He doesn't follow MOD systems.
Right.
Under the tutelage of another organization and directly reporting to the top office.
Right.
Now, the model by itself has enormous amount of power, and anything strategic that has to be achieved in a kind of time frame.
Yes.
And to succeed it in long run, repeatable. You can achieve that with certain model. They exist.
Right.
But we have had the normal acquisition, which is happening with the bureaucratic layers.
Right.
And this is essentially where things don't happen.
Right. So
or didn't happen.
It's not too late then, you're saying, for other programs like the AMCA, the 5th generation fighter aircraft.
Absolutely.
And even for the fighter jet.
Absolutely.
You are saying that the strategic submarine model can be used for these two very critical programs.
I mean, the model can be similar to that. Of course, for each class of programs and each kind of it, you may have to tweak it.
Right.
It's typically, if Air Force decides to run a program and say that Air Force is going to be put in half a dozen, call it 3-star, 2-star combination.
Right.
And a wise man, one retired 3-star plus,
like the DG of the program.
Especially the engineers.
Right.
You can make a difference.
So it's very important, you're saying, for the user to drive the program.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's
without
the big
a user driving, you cannot build weapon systems.
Right. That's a very, very important lesson, and I think that seems to have escaped us when we were doing these other programs. The jet engine and the AMCA, for instance. But hopefully it's still not too late. But, there's another spin-off from the earlier question I had, that how is it that a country that's built a strategic submarine is still struggling with designing its own tactical submarine, the SSK, which is a much smaller submarine, shouldn't be as complicated. Is it because,
If you really ask me, Sandeep, India always excelled in anything that you were denied.
Right.
Now, all model that you talked of, whether strategic submarine, now take it to nuclear, take it to space. Because if you have a space launch vehicle, you have an ICBM as well.
Yes. Right. That's
now, this is essentially where all of these remained as denial technologies.
Right.
So, anything that was denied was built, was created. From fundamental R&D, it happened. And I can tell you, having been partnered as a company, of course, I have obviously done two of them, the space and the defense. But nuclear, I didn't directly look after, except for very short periods, some overseeing I was doing. But I have known that all these three sectors started with the book of physics.
Right.
The development did not come with somebody's technology.
Right. So
it was ab initio created from level of physics as what is written in a book. You can read the same physics book, I can read the same physics book. Two of us can create two different things.
So you're saying that this transfer of technology thing
did not exist.
Is a mirage.
Did not exist. Transfer of technology always meant it gave you what you will produce and how.
Right.
It will never tell you how to use it or how to change use or how to modify, how to enhance, how to grow. All those capabilities never came.
Right.
And if you needed those capabilities, you needed a fundamental understanding of what this system is.
Right.
And then if you build it modular.
Yeah.
Now, once you have a system fully built modularly, you can always change. You can change a weapon tomorrow, put another weapon, integrate it.
Right.
Now, all this possibility of doing things differently, and every 4 or 5 years, as the technological life cycle keeps on getting into obsolescence, you can change. Now, today, we have been producing multiple platforms, including, call it tanks, call it whatever.
Right.
Now, we produce the same thing. The upgrade is extremely small. There's no earth-shaking difference between what was produced, let's say today, and what was produced 10 years back, which is not the case in case of indigenous program.
Right.
Every regiment of Pinaka has a different level of intelligence.
And this is because it is entirely indigenous program. So that's a very big lesson again, that you have to build your own technology, you have to improve on it. Iterative development.
I would rather use the word spiral.
Spiral development.
Because you build on what was there. What on day one was what the user said, you did that much.
Right.
Now, once you also get little bit experience, you stretch your mind and you say, no, maybe I can do next level. Now, to give a beautiful story, small, again an anecdote in case of Pinaka. Pinaka never specified that you are going to require to fight in 2010.
Right.
Because when the development began in late 80s, nobody knew you are going to fight with the system in 2010.
Right.
But at that time, we said that if I do it conventionally, like every country doing a rocket launcher, we are not going to make anything different.
Right.
And as a very conscious organization, we said, let's do it at minimum power. So some amazing technologies were developed to minimize the power at which the system will operate.
Right.
As a result, you could run it on batteries.
Right.
Now you have zero sound, zero heat, zero smoke. Because you are not running the engine for anything. Every other weapon system in the world, in case of artillery, you will see there's either an APU or you are running your own main engine of the same weapon. Batteries.
But this
zero
is
sound.
Purely Indian innovation.
And 100% local.
Right. There's another program which I want to ask you about, which is similarly.
Now, each generation of battery technology, you can do more.
Right.
So what was thought of in 90s, early 90s when the systems were delivered, and the same thing getting produced 10 years later, and thereafter every subsequent order, your system has more capabilities.
Right, right. So spiral development is the way forward. Develop your own technology and then spiral development, keep developing on it. And there's another example that I want to ask you about, again, an L&T program. Which began as a bi-global program for 100 self-propelled howitzers. Yes, the K9 Vajra. How did you convert that into a Make in India program? It started out as an import that we were going to, import 100 off the shelf. So how did you convert that, and what has been the benefit? Because I'm looking at the program now, the numbers are staggering. 100 delivered to the army, another 100 on order, 7,000 crore program. And you managed to capture a lot of that technology.
In fact, in case of Vajra, it goes back to the requirement of a self-propelled, which dates to
80s,
80s. Now, in 80s, when there was a requirement, multiple RFPs and multiple solutions were looked at, including at that point in time, DRDO had looking at a turret which comes from somewhere else, and we would use an Arjun chassis.
Right.
So South African turret.
Beam, I believe.
Beam.
Yes.
Beam was essentially the South African
Denel
turret. Denel
Arjun chassis.
Denel T6 and the Arjun chassis. Now, fundamentally, when you take a tank chassis and want to put an artillery gun on that, you're actually creating a scenario that you're constraining the user, because architecturally, a tank is built this way.
Right.
You have a smaller bearing, and then the turret again opens up.
Right.
So call it a figure of 8 in terms of inside overall space envelope. Ab initio, when you build something like a Vajra, you build it as straight.
Right.
So you have enormous space inside.
Right.
And as a result, it can be enormously ergonomically made different.
Right.
Now, this is exactly what the South Koreans did based on the M109 which they took.
Right.
And all varieties of ways the program was attempted to be successful till 2007.
Right.
Nothing worked out. So 2009 RFP or 2008 RFP said it's a bi-global. And by then, because two DPPs had come, we had a clarity that Buy Global allows an Indian company to bid. So we gave a bid saying that as Indian company, I am a global citizen, and this was an argument made to MOD.
Yes.
That you're asking anybody in the world, I am anybody in the world. Don't look at me as Indian company, I want to bid.
Right.
And they allowed us bid.
Right.
So 2008, we were single party. It was nobody else in the world submitted an offer.
Right.
So obviously, that era with the government and the leader, the minister, nothing would happen.
Yeah.
So a second RFP was issued. Now, interpretation at that time was because there was an Indian company that had bid, nobody in the world bid.
Right.
So second time they said Indian company will not be allowed to bid. Now my partner, South Korean, said I am not going to bid.
Okay.
So he didn't bid. Second time it was single party.
Right.
So third time the RFP was issued in 2011,
Right.
which is when we decided that since it's a indigenous bid, we'll convert it into equivalent of Make in India. The word of Make in India didn't exist.
Right.
But in Larsen Toubro, one principle which all of us have always followed in our careers is if you can do something in India, why import?
Right.
And the reason for that why import again comes back to that denial regimes, because all through 60s onward, this company, because of our association with the nuclear power and space, all of us used to be constantly under sanctions. So you knew that if you're buying something overseas, you will not be given that at a later date when you want it.
So you had no option.
So
it was in your DNA.
It was in our DNA. It was our focus to convert it into indigenous.
Right.
Now, while at price or cost, let me use the right word, it was 50-50 in the first contract. But let me tell you that 83% of physical part component mix, if one counts, was indigenous.
Right.
Now, by the time we were into 11th system, we were 81%. By the time we reached 30th, we were 83%, and we maintained it up to 100 and delivered the first 100.
With indigenization of over 80%.
That means now life cycle is 83% indigenous. First acquisition by cost, yes, is 50% indigenous, 50% imported. Because the engine, transmission and gun are imported, primarily 3. But the rest is all indigenous.
Yes.
Now, while you are doing that, we realized that right up front in 2011, when we are offering this, in 2008 itself, we had told the partner that your system will fail in it.
Right.
So we decided multiple changes to be done, and the entire intelligence behind the system, which is the fire control, command control, all that, along with that, the NBC capability, direct fire capability, and a whole lot of reloading. Today we have far more efficient system than the South Korean Thunder.
Right. So you made a
all
truly
this happened here.
Indian self-propelled howitzer.
Except the engine and transmission, because for 100 you can never design and build an engine and transmission.
Right.
So technically, if it was not bought from South Korean, we would buy it from somewhere else. Nobody was making that kind of engine and transmission, and as a weapon system builder, I'm not going to design and build an engine and transmission.
400 units.
400 units, or for that matter, even 500 units.
You have another very successful program, the light tank, the Zorava tank, which you created in a matter of months. Was that using the K9 Vajra expertise?
No.
Or that was completely...
No. I must tell you that as Galwan happened, our first concept was indeed, we have an extremely good, call it vehicle.
Right.
So we can use the hull and build a tank on that hull. And since we were doing it very differently than the way the South Korean partner was doing, while some of their drawings were getting utilized, there was enough amount of change that was to be made into the light tank. Now, this light tank would have weighed somewhere close to 35-37 tons.
Right.
And at that point in time, we didn't know what tank the Chinese have. Right. Chinese tank was being talked about, but they had not yet fielded it.
The Chinese light tank.
Chinese light tank.
Right.
Now, the Chinese light tank happened to be actually a 37 ton.
Right.
So we were independent thinking, independent configuration. And then came a journey that no, we need to have it much, much lighter. And
Right.
then army stepped in.
Hmm.
And this was the era when, why I said without the user, nothing happens.
Yes.
Now, the seventh iteration of design is what General Brar wanted.
Right.
Now, General Brar obviously kept saying कि नहीं, मुझे तो टैंक चाहिए कि जो पानी में भी float करे,
Right.
which no battle tank in the world does.
Yeah.
But we have a tank which can float in water. We have a tank which can do direct fire. We have a tank which can do indirect fire. We have a tank which can do with a drone a fire from top also.
Right.
So varieties of capabilities have been built into this tank, because this is when the tank was not designed by something which
Yes.
people were thinking they should do.
Right.
He was a user saying, futuristically, having Galwan having happened, I might need what I need.
Right. Right.
And this is where the light tank was among the extremely challenging specification evolution.
Right.
And that's where 7 designs were worked out, from 37 ton to 25 ton.
Right.
And the final, what we decided to make was this 25 tonner.
Right.
Now, the day this was to be made, of course, the discussion was happening with DRDO, because for us to develop a tank, it would have taken a lot of money.
Right.
So we naturally, having done 100 programs with DRDO as their partners, we decided to go to DRDO. Dr. Reddy says, I am also thinking of doing it, and there are my people working on it.
Right.
Then
CVRD,
evolved CVRD team.
Right.
Then we said, evolved, why not do it together? So why not do it together became the buzzword. Obviously, they had their own systems to follow in terms
Right.
of whether to give a design contract to a development contract to one company. Whole lot of that process took them typically 18 months. Now, by that 18 months, we had 100% production designs done.
Of the
So the
Zorava.
day of Zorava, now the day the contract came, I can tell you the readiness was to deliver a tank in 15th month.
Right.
And that would have been an unbeaten record anywhere in the world of anybody having been able to do that. Now, it didn't happen in
Wow.
the 15th month because we know the engine was coming from a government. I don't want to name the country.
Right.
But
course.
they decided not to deliver you the engine.
Supply
Engine
chain
was ready.
issues again.
Supply chain issues. Call it supply chain, call it denial.
Did I? Yeah.
Because I never look at it as supply chain.
Right.
The engine was produced by the
Yes.
factory ready for delivery.
Right.
After that, it did not leave the country for 13 months.
Right. So that was a very subtle.
So now comes the
kind of-
power of your indigenous design.
Right.
The indigenous design was done. As a result, we said, let me replace the engine. If a guy doesn't give me an engine,
Yes.
am I not going to produce a tank? So we bought another engine. And the tank started rolling. That was 19th month.
Right.
So 19 months even today remains a record. So this was again a case, I would say, success of light tank is far more to do with three-party teaming.
Right.
Leave it to alone Larsen
Yeah.
Toubro, we won't do it in 19 months.
Right.
And we would have struggled far more. You saw what happened in case of Zorava.
Yes.
It went to the ranges, performed amazingly well.
Right.
Went to, after desert, went to high altitude, again, amazing results.
Right.
And we can't even talk in public domain what all was actually the kind of performance
Right.
of this tank system.
Right.
And this is essentially you start realizing that if you have a model,
Yes.
which is what you see in the strategic submarine,
Right.
you have a Navy involved day to day,
Yes.
you have a DRDO coverage, you have an industry, and then you create an amazing success story. Light tank has gone very close to it, although not following the basic process of
Right,
having run
right.
it like a separate kind of empowered project or a
Right.
headquarter. But it actually achieved
Yes.
what can be achieved even if you don't create a structural system, but do an amazing level of teaming between the DG Armored, the DRDO, and the industry.
Fascinating. I mean, these are details I never knew, and that's the reason I come to you so often to talk about these very interesting indigenous programs. But there is also the requirement for SSKs, indigenous SSKs. Where are we with that? Is there a program?
It's happening.
It is
It is happening.
right.
Indigenous SSK, I did again back to, not an SSK, but I would say a midget.
Right.
A midget was a requirement Ministry of Defense, rather than Indian Navy, had come out with in 2009.
Right.
And at that time, call it the sketch design,
Yes.
was evolved by D&D SDG.
Right.
This sketch design of D&D SDG was offered to
Right.
whosoever wants to take it and bid. Now, Larsen Toubro knew what we can do in a collaborative mode between
Right.
D&D SDG and Larsen Toubro,
Right.
simply because we were working on the program.
Yes.
So we knew that even if it is not fully matured today, there is no detailed design has happened or manufacturing design has not happened. We can solve problems because we know how to work together.
Right.
Now, this is essentially when the midget, twice it came to bidding. Both the times it was not awarded because the resultant single party also was not awarded,
Right.
which
this
was
is
obviously
a
us.
400-ton submarine, the midget.
At that point in time, started with 300, but
Right.
400 was more feasible.
Right.
Now,
So that's
this
12
remained
12 crew, 13 special operatives, special operations.
matter of details.
Right.
But fundamentally,
It's a mini submarine.
it's a mini submarine.
A mini SSK.
Primary role was obviously, it was a saboteur submarine.
Right.
So strategic operations you would do. And if you wanted to do a strategic operations, you needed a vehicle which has a mothership. And of course, with a mothership, you would be able to go closer, launch this, retrieve it, and come back. And this is something when it was talked about as a very strategic capability to the nation. At that point in time, both RFPs failed.
Right.
But for us, it remained as an capability that the country never had because we had never designed a conventional submarine as a country.
Right.
I'm not saying as Larsen Toubro.
Right.
And we all believed that there is a capability within D&D SDG, but D&D SDG obviously is enormously busy
Right.
and bogged by their own issues because so many multiple programs
This
they
is
were
the
giving
submarine design
coverage
group
for.
of the Indian
Submarine
Navy.
design group of Navy. Given this background, we decided in 2017,
Yes.
as my team was starting to get bit free out of the existing program, because you remember for many years we had no work,
Right.
which is what I used to go to Manohar Parrikar saying ki my people have been busy for a couple of decades
Right.
and now they don't have work. So I decided at that point in time to begin an indigenous submarine design capability being developed in-house,
Right.
entirely funded by us. Now this culminated into a midget submarine. We call it Special Operations Vehicle again.
SOV.
So the SOV 400 is what we targeted.
Yeah.
But overall, what all needed to be packaged became closer to SOV 500.
Right.
So SOV 500 we accomplished in 2000, just about COVID time.
Right.
Now, obviously, if you have a basic design evolved, then you needed somebody to say that this basic design is right.
Right.
So we obviously didn't have a consultant,
Yes.
and you are not going to go to any existing submarine builder
Yes.
or a designer to do that. So we decided to go to a certifying agencies. So our certification got completed in 21. So 21 onwards, you would have noticed that Larsen Toubro has been showing a model
Yes.
of our SOV 400. Anything you can change, SOV 400 extendable to SOV 600, anything between 400 to 600 we can create. And this was the first indigenous submarine, which obviously was getting talked because we were showing it internationally.
In Def Expo.
And the Navy leadership, obviously at one point in time, over a casual chat came out that you're showing it all over the world, but why are you not offering it to me?
Right.
So obviously we said, yes, it's you're my first customer.
Yes.
Because of you we exist. We entered into defense with one, of course, is DRDO and second is Navy.
Right.
Right from mid-80s when we've been doing things for them, I said, just for asking. Multiple interactions and an RFI was created. The RFI is yet to be created into a RFP.
Right.
So RFP and the AON is still in pipeline, but hopefully someday we'll see an SOV
Right.
as a strategic capability submarine India will build.
Right.
Now, since we already had a certified design obviously I said we can create an SSK.
Right. Scaling up this.
Scaling up, I
submarine.
can tell you, in case of submarines, reverse scale up.
Yes.
Miniaturization is more difficult.
Right. Than
scaling up.
Right.
Because equipment larger size is always easy to get.
Right.
Smaller size is more difficult to get.
Right.
So scale up was always easy. We obviously off the cuff talked of certain number of man years of requirement and some budgetary kind of cost and discussed over a table. Now obviously thereafter, instead of directly giving it to a private house, it was all the more sensible for government to pursue it by funding in-house through D&D SDG, and D&D SDG actually pursued that, and the program was cleared and it's doing well. They came out with the design partnership contract, and the design partnership contract L&T had won, and the process began of design, which is right now going on. As we speak, the submarine is taking shape.
Right. This is the Project 76.
This
SSK.
is Project 76.
And when will we have our own SSK design?
Typically 1.5 years from now.
So by about 26 or 27?
26, maybe 27, 28, we should be able to award it.
Right. And the build time would be how long for this?
Maybe the first of class, maybe 6-7 years. But since it's indigenous design and now followed with the processes which are followed into the strategic model, you can literally concurrently produce. You don't have to wait for the first submarine to be launched and then tried out and then start the rest. So we can, over maybe less than a 10-year period, be able to produce all 6 or more.
All 6 in less than a 10-year
Original submarine plan had 12 submarines to be produced of indigenous design.
Yes. The 30-year submarine building.
75 I and 76 were 12. 75, 76 were 6 each. So that is exactly where it is going. Now again going back to, since that plan was made in 99, which you're well aware and you've documented it quite well. But at a later date, this was also discussed. And Manohar Parrikar's time, one of his public speech said that we are looking at 20 years later and since we have don't even have the first 6 in operation, we need to review this, and maybe the 30 submarine plan should be a 50 submarine plan. And it is on record. His speech is still on record.
Saying that we need 50 submarines and not 30.
Because we are in a different world and a different scenario. And this was Pakistan still a scenario. Pakistan, China together, and Galwan was yet to happen. Now, post Galwan, you look at the scenario, we require much more. Now, having our own design, much more can be built. And obviously, if you have your own design, you are not paying TOT to anybody and anything being paid out.
You're not worried about supply chain issues.
Absolutely.
From foreign partners.
Supply chain, call it denial, as I always keep saying. And if that is not there, we can produce at a much, much better price point.
That's so encouraging
I can tell you that this submarine, when built, will be the most competitively built submarine in the world.
Even better and cheaper than the Russian 636.
Russians, sometimes is opportunistic price. So you don't know the real price. But in case of the Western world, I can tell you that whatever the Western world today thinks they should charge for a submarine, it would be a fraction of that.
That's a very, very big
and
number.
That's the power of Indian minds. Anything we do is frugal.
Frugal engineering. But, before I let you go, Mr. Patil, this one thing I want to ask you about Manohar Parrikar. You keep mentioning him. He was your hostel mate in IIT Powai, IIT Bombay? We
are same timers from IIT, not hostel mates. And it was, I would say, an accidental and a chance meet.
On campus or off?
On campus. And I was that time in my master's first year, MTech. And Parrikar that time was in his final year. In he's a 78 BTech. And he was in third year. When the first time 77 election, there was a non-Congress government at Delhi.
Post the emergency.
Post-emergency in first election that happened.
The Janta
government. Now, Janta government was put enormous might
Right.
by every opposition party who suffered during election,
Right.
during the emergency.
Yes.
And RSS was backing up anybody who was
Right.
non-congressman. Subramania Swamy,
Yeah.
the IIT Delhi professor,
Right.
was the one who was a candidate from Mumbai North East.
Yes.
And
The parliamentary constituency. Lok
constituency,
Sabha.
Lok Sabha constituency. And this is a constituency the IIT campus fell in.
Right.
Now, since Parrikar from very young days was an RSS, I would say, virtually a sevak,
Yes.
he was the one who started hostel by hostel a kind of a campaign for Subramania Swamy.
Right.
And I must tell you that more than out of that constituency, probably 95-98% votes
Right.
went to Subramania Swamy. So he had won
Right.
with a thumping majority, among the largest majorities of 77 election, which was virtually a record.
Right.
He and George Fernandez, who was still in jail
Yes.
and had amazing majority. So this was the first time all of us as students realized that here's someone who's called Manohar Parrikar.
Right.
And he was not yet a graduate. 2 years later, 1.5 years later, when he graduated, obviously at some point in time, you broke off. We reconnected when 85 onwards, we used to work with DRDO as Larsen Toubro. And he used to do work with DRDO as a hydraulics company that he had founded.
Right.
He used to be a supplier to some of the DRDO labs in Pune as a vendor to DRDO.
Right. He was an MSME. He had a MSME.
He had an MSME. He had a small hydraulics company.
Right.
And this was an era in which by then DRDO had already graduated us because we used to be involved in top level big programs. So I used to sit on the dais.
Right.
In the vendors meet or the partners meet, as DRDO used to call it, and a lot of discussion used to happen. Fast forward 2014, and he was the one who proposed Prime Minister Modi's name in Goa. And as the stars had it, BJP won. And when it was announced that he is going to be the defense minister, his office got in touch
with you.
Okay, why don't you come and talk?
Right.
Like there's a story similar to our Nitin's story.
Right.
So two of us, like Nitin was, I was asked. I said, yes, I want to meet the minister because every minister I used to meet anyway as part of my business. But it was a case where the minister was saying that I need to see. So first time I met him was, he said, you are there well seasoned. You know the every part of this ministry, including what all happens here. I need the right kind of inputs in terms of how to make changes.
Right.
And that everything doesn't move. There's a one department where, like you said very rightly, on the strategic side we have every capability, but why on the tactical side we have no capability, and we are only TOT bound nation as of that day.
Right.
And this change was through enormous amount of subsequent discussions. In a way, he picked up on the Vajra story which we are talking, because Vajra became an amazing success. It's the first program in India, because we had built those 17 major systems in India as first protos, which went into trial. And Army's trial document, we did not have one single observation. Forget non-conformity. No Indian acquisition program in the past had 100% requirements met, which happened with Vajra.
With the Vajra.
Now, since we had started producing, he got into a mindset at that point in time that this is the right model to convert Buy Global into Buy Indian.
Right.
So, in effect, it was a program which was as if run as Indian, but It was not IDDM.
It was actually supposed to be just an import, an off-the-shelf
It is supposed to be off-the-shelf import. And my statement was, if you had imported, you would have paid 100% FERV.
Right.
I'm saving 50% FERV to you, but doing 83% indigenization in terms of part count.
And what a boost to the
and this
local
is what
economy.
This is where one of the genesis behind that strategic partnership, that you can take a technology transfer from somebody, but don't blindly follow it. Incidentally, the model which Manohar Parrikar and we had all discussed was, on the phase 1 of selection, you run it open competition, free for anybody to participate, but not select on price. There's no price bid. Select only on capabilities. The best man that you select from Indian industry then is picked up as a strategic partner. He becomes a strategic partner that day. And thereafter, the government and the strategic partner sits and negotiates with any foreign player. And the joke we used to have is, after I'm selected for the submarines as a partner, we will sit on one side of the table and we'll have the 6 people who were shortlisted for the 75.
So it's like a Swayamvar kind of model.
Absolutely. Every of the Swayamvar guy comes in, you decide what will you do, how much indigenization you will do, how much of TOT will transfer, will complete TOT come, will source codes come, what all. Every of those capabilities which would have actually leapfrogged us into taking it to next level. Incidentally, the way it was implemented after Parrikar moved out was completely different.
The strategic
partnership model actually didn't keep anything of the strategic in quotes. And it became an acquisition program. Only thing which is not there in a normal acquisition program is you do so many of those processes before. Here it followed the process of EOI, and after EOI straight away into an RFP. And then shortlisted 2 companies were only allowed to bid. While the game earlier was, let anybody and everybody come. Phase 1, no price discussion. We go ahead and do. And the reason behind the most competent person being selected, that is where you actually can do the lowest cost. Because maximum indigenization, leveraging what was done in the strategic program, would have happened. Now, the moment I was doing 80% plus, obviously that 80% plus would mean you don't require that much of input from the foreigner. Now, if the foreigner is saying, one guy says, I'll only give you 50, another says 60, another 70, then it is cheaper for us to buy from the guy who is 70, even if for the balance 30 he charges me more. Because when you proliferate and do more numbers, it will turn out to be cheaper. Now, it's as simple a model which was evolved, but unfortunately the program changed in its shape. And why probably the model didn't really move far too much into multiple other programs? 2, 1, this is not acceptable and was changed for variety of bureaucratic resistance. And second part was, genuinely capabilities were getting developed by then. When it was launched, we know SP was launched in 17. By 17, I had started the submarine design myself.
The midget.
So we were building, midget, and within 5 years we would have anyway reached midget plus. So by 22, we would have anyway reached into that stage. So today we are anyway having our own program
But we've lost
going
so
on.
many years in the process.
That's true, but the scenario is, this is exactly where that trust partnership. Now look at the same thing for what was done, as we talked in case of, call it the strategic submarine, or for that matter the BrahMos program, where there was somebody who said, let's do it together, succeed, you do everything thereafter. That's not the model.
And then you just had the Prime Minister, in fact, speak in Parliament, where he said that while talking about Operation Sindur, that the private sector's involvement in defense has opened up so many new avenues for innovation, not just the existing programs.
It's moved leaps and bounds.
It is. It's a fascinating.
All of us have seen it from the days of. I use this word. I was in the 12th Plan Review Committee. With for the Ministry of Defence's 12th Plan, as well as Space Department of Space Plan. And during that period, what one had seen was very clear. Private sector was here for crumbs.
Right.
In spite of 10 years having gone from that first RFP,
Right.
we were getting once in a while few contracts. Bulk of my contracts, except 2-3, which were
Right.
products that we did together with DRDO, except for those programs, all of them were buy global programs.
Right.
So it was not only Vajra which we had won as buy global. There are few other programs which we won as buy global.
Right.
And my track record as a company, of course, in that was, if we participated in a buy global, and between Tata's and us, we used to say that if we participate in a buy global,
Yes.
no global player can win in
Right.
India.
Right.
So this had been
That's
achieved.
the kind of confidence
And
that you
this
had.
is exactly what prompted Manohar Parrikar to bring in 2016 DPP,
Right.
that IDDM.
Right.
That there's a capability in the country. To begin with, it may be few people,
Yes.
but it will grow
It will
if there's a
multiply.
category created.
Right.
And today when you see Prime Minister Modi making this statement,
Yes.
we know more than 70-80% today is
Right.
into Indian basket.
Right. Of course. How
So
the tables have
future
turned.
acquisition
Yes.
is all Indian.
Is all Indian. Right.
And of course, in terms of sheer numbers,
Yes.
today there's nothing which we cannot compete.
Right.
Even within a naval, which was our strongest forte.
Yes.
Thereafter, of course, is land become big.
Yes.
And now there's multiple things going into the Air Force as well. But the fact remained that every major ship and a submarine program remained nominated
Right.
till 2017-18.
Right.
But today that's not the case.
That's not the case, and it's such a tragedy we don't have Mr. Parrikar to see
Absolutely.
how far we've come. And
I mean,
how we miss
all
him.
of us as old timers in industry,
Yes.
and of course we had personal and private meetings when it was really known. Last I had met him in Delhi, right in this place, was 2 days before we went to Goa.
Right.
And I said, this is going to truly hurt. And he says, but it's far more important that another state we don't lose.
Right.
But if a man like him stayed for a couple of months more here, we would have seen a different strategic partnership model. Second, what he was truly working at
Yes.
was to make the Make One
Right.
actually happen.
Right.
Make One is a 2008. First RFP is under Make One. Category founded in 2006. Till 2025, we don't have one single program worth its name. Some minor program here and there has
But no
happened.
Make One.
Nothing in Make One. That means Government of India refused to fund private sector for
Right.
20 years.
Right. Make One
Now,
being
from
the
that
program
background,
where,
when you look at when Prime Minister speaks, yes, market is open to private sector.
Yes.
But market is open to private sector for what private sector has done on its own.
On its own, but no government funding.
There's zero government support.
Right.
And this is essentially where, if government decides to do, we can truly leapfrog.
Right.
Because this money can accelerate so much. Today, till 2015, Government of India used to give us tax breaks
Right.
if we did something in R&D.
Right.
This tax break was taken away in 2015 by the same government.
Right.
Incidentally, in terms of policy, I would call it the only regressive policy of this government was to discourage R&D
Right.
in terms of monetary terms.
Right.
Obviously, Ministry of Finance will always say that no, we reduce the tax rate. But tax rate and tax incentive are two completely different things. And today people again and again speak of, no, there's a need of this tax break, because if I'm spending money,
Yeah.
which is for strategic reasons
Yeah.
for a country to gain something out of, it's not only business for the private sector, it's a capability to a country.
It's a
And
capability
towards
to-
that, if you're spending few hundred crores, few thousand crores into R&D, you ought to be given a tax break.
Right.
And this tax break was taken away, supposed to get reinstated. There's a lot of things which are happening,
Right.
but today not in place. Make program, which was supposed to be government and industry co-funding,
Right.
has not zero program till today.
Right.
So what industry is putting in is completely on its
On
own.
its own. Right. So that's another area of concern for us. But Mr. Patil, it's been such a fascinating journey speaking to you. The sweep of the defense sector from Kargil to Operation Sindur, Operation Vijay to Operation Sindur, more than a quarter century. And who better than JD Patil, who has actually seen it all for 4 decades almost. But I just want to thank you for your time, your thoughts. And, these are big lessons that you have, outlined for us. And the simple takeaway from this would be that if you are looking at boosting our defense GDP, then you have to look at the JDP formula for defense indigenization. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Mr.
Sandeep,
Patil.
and always thought-provoking. You have the knack of, asking the right questions.
Thank you, and I have very good friends like you. Thank you very much, Mr. Patil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patil, for that absolute sweep from Operation Vijay in Kargil 1999 to Operation Sindur 2025, where the defense business, the Indian defense industry has truly come into its own. And if I may add, there is, as I said, the gross domestic product for the economy, the GDP, and there is the JDP for defense industry, Jayant Damodar Patil. And very clearly there is a mantra that JDP has to boost our GDP. And it's for the decision makers to take note of this very, very interesting conversation that we've just had on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much for joining me and for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. And been an amazing journey, especially this 26 years, as we have seen the gradual opening and then an enormous amount of change in the last 10 or 11 years. We can look forward to some great times ahead.
Great times ahead indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Patil.